In my last video, I made $300 in a single day driving for Uber, and whilst that video did very well, I did have a lot of people questioning how I made so much money in a single day driving for Uber when I was taking every single ride. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 tips on how you can make more money driving for Uber. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name's Key, and if you're brand new, pronounce Key in. And today, we are going to be going through 5 tips on how you can improve your scenario with driving with Uber. And a lot of this advice, I have to make very quick disclaimers here. A lot of this advice is going to be targeted towards newer drivers. However, a lot of this advice could apply to you as well, even if you're an experienced driver. So feel free to watch towards the end of the video, especially because that tip number 5 is something that goes super under the radar and something that I actually learned from another driver not too long ago, and it has increased my tips substantially. The other disclaimer is that all of this advice that I'm giving you today, these 5 tips, should apply to any market that you're in. If you're in a super busy market and if you're in a super slow market, it should apply to you regardless. Tip number 1, and I can't believe I even have to say this, but I have to: clean your car. Look, I'm not saying that your car has to be absolutely spotless 24/7. That is an unrealistic expectation, even for the higher end Uber Premier and Uber Black drivers like myself. But I have seen so many Ubers on the road and videos and horror stories of people posting themselves in Ubers that are filthy, that smell terrible, that smell of specific substances that I can't say on YouTube, otherwise I'll get demonetized. And overall, it's not even just a matter of it like looking or smelling bad. It could also be a safety issue for a lot of people, depending on what's actually in the car that's been left over from time. That could be a hazard. And to be honest, I don't know how the hell those cars get past inspection. But make sure that you stand out first by making sure your car is as clean as you can make it. I'm not even saying you have to invest a ton of money into a bunch of things to clean your car. Like, go to the Dollar Tree or Dollar General or whatever you have in your market and go buy some of the very cheap and simple cleaning supplies. Like, get yourself those little packets of leather seat wipes, if you have leather seats, of course. You know, get yourself some sprays for your windshield and for the seats and for your dashboard and everything. And just put some actual effort into ensuring that your car looks presentable to people. Also, if you really want to stand out from the rest of the crowd, please, for the love of God, get a car wash subscription. I know that sounds so unorthodox, but you drive for your job, assuming you're actually taking this as not just some random extra gig. You actually want to do this for your full-time, part-time income. You want to make sure you have some form of a car wash subscription as well. The one I have is $30 a month. You can probably find them for even cheaper, like $25 or $20 a month, and you can get unlimited car washes. And a majority of these places also have vacuums, which is super helpful. So definitely take advantage of that in your market if you have it. Okay, tip number 2, be professional and be presentable. I know a lot of people see Uber and Lyft and driving side gigs and side hustles as passive income, so it's not necessarily a necessity for them to look their best. But I'm telling you right now, you are taking this as a form of your income and you want to be able to be as presentable as possible. And there are many ways you can do this. Look presentable, have a nice, button-up shirt, have a nice leather vest or something, have matching outfits if you can handle it, get some good shoes that don't look like they came from the Dollar Tree. Don't look like you're just doing this to make a few extra bucks here and there. Like, if you show up in sweatpants and a sweatshirt or a hoodie or just very baggy clothes in general, it kind of tells the passenger that you're just kind of doing this on the side and you're not really doing this as a professional. And the more you treat them as a professional, the more you treat them with respect. What I say is that you treat them with 5-star quality and you will get 5 stars in return. And if you really want to go above and beyond, please do. Open the door for them. Show them basic courtesy. Ask them about their day. We'll get to communication in just a moment, but treat them with the respect that the other drivers in their market, in your market, are not treating them with, and you will reap the rewards in terms of tips later down the line, guaranteed. Tip number 3, I mentioned communication previously, and a lot of people try to figure out good ways to talk to their passengers. What I think is more important is learning when not to talk. Look, there is a true beauty in just not talking and just letting your passenger be. And this isn't something that's going to be across the board super effective, but moreover, what I'm trying to say is let them talk to you. Let them approach you. Let them ask the questions. If they are engaging in the conversation, then of course, engage back and have a thoughtful and engaging conversation with them. But otherwise, leave them be. When I'm saying learn how to not talk, that doesn't mean don't say a word to them at all, because then I think they're just going to assume you don't speak much English. You don't want that. Just ask the essential questions. How are you doing? Is this the right location that is set on Uber? You know, are you comfortable? Is the AC temperature comfortable for you? Is the music good for you? Do you have any music preferences? Ask the basic questions, the bare necessities, depending on the length of the ride. And after that, if they don't engage with you any more than that, keep to yourself, do the ride, and they will appreciate it. I promise you. And this kind of ties in with my next tip, actually. Tip number 4, understanding how to properly communicate with your passengers in general. As an Uber driver, your goal at the end of the day is to ensure that your passenger is happy. So try to avoid discussions of anything that would generally make them unhappy, religion, politics, anything that can be kind of controversial or convoluting, or anything that could cause a disparity in the conversation. Try to avoid that at all lengths possible. And if they are having a conversation with you and they bring up these things, be ready for them to disagree with you on something, or them to say something that you disagree with. It is okay that you disagree on things. You are two different people that have never met before. This exchange with Uber, with Lyft, with whatever you're doing in terms of rideshare. It's okay to have differences in opinions, especially because after this ride, you're likely never going to see each other again. So really, why should you care if they have the same beliefs as you? It's not the end of the world either way. And if they do have disagreements or beliefs that you disagree with, what I would say is be agreeable. Not that you have to agree with what they're actually saying, but find ways to either dance around it or smoothly agree with what they're saying without directly agreeing with what they're saying, and try to find a good way to say, hey, I'm listening to you, and this is what I agree with in parts of the conversation. Not that I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but at the very least, I am respecting your input in this conversation. And especially if you two are agreeing with things, keep the conversation going. If you're having a great conversation, interesting and engaging conversations are the #1 way to lead to getting better tips. In fact, if you have a great conversation with somebody in the car, you can expect a pretty solid tip after that ride. And finally, tip number 5. This tip goes so under the radar for most people, but I think it's actually the most important tip out of all of these: how to say goodbye. Look, a lot of passengers are going to have different impressions of you during the ride and before the ride, but the thing that matters most is when the ride ends, what they think of you and what they remember from you. And here is one thing that so many Uber drivers get wrong. You ready? Listen closely. Do not ask them to tip. It will not work. However, there is a great way to increase your chances of getting a tip from a passenger without directly asking for it, but asking for something else. And I have to give credit to Levi over from Tip You at the App. I'll leave his channel linked in the top right, because I figured out this piece of advice from one of his videos. Simply just ask your passenger to just leave an honest review in the app after the ride is done. Because that way it's going to tell the passenger, hey, just go back into the app, make sure you go double check the app. And once you're rating 5 stars, you want to know the button that's probably right beneath that button on the Uber app? The tip button. And after that, if you followed the 4 previous tips and you've left an amazing impression on them through the quality of the ride, through the quality of the car and the vehicle, and overall the quality of yourself, it is very, very likely that they're going to leave you a tip. And just telling them to go back into the app and just leave an honest review, most of the time, they'll just say, hell yeah, man, I'm going to give you 5 stars. Because a lot of passengers will probably not even touch the app if you don't ask them to. And they probably will completely forget about looking back into the app because they have other things to do and go about their day with as to why they needed the ride in the first place. And the final goodbye, this is kind of just like a cherry on top. It's not entirely, it's optional. It depends on the car, it depends on the scenario. But if you have the opportunity to, open the door for them. Give them that final sign of respect that they just received a high quality ride from a 5-star Uber driver. It's absolutely not mandatory, but I guarantee you every time it will highly be appreciated. And that's it. That's all 5 pieces of advice for how to make more money and especially make more tips driving for Uber. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, obviously leave a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. Guys, we are on our way to 5,000 subscribers. We have been growing so crazy to the point where I'm not even sure if we're going to hit 5,000 subscribers or not by the time that I release this video. So if we have, thank you so much. The growth on the channel has been amazing and I appreciate you guys so much. And with all that said and done, stay cool.